Hello, Game For You, Undertow here, and today I'm going to be playing Donkey Kong Country, the Nintendo Game Boy Advance port of the 1994 Super Nintendo game. Unfortunately, there's no Cranky in this introduction, sadly. I don't think it would really fit in with the kids of 2003. Or they thought of, at least. That they wouldn't get it. Anyway, we're going to start the main game. DK Attack is a pretty cool game mode. Essentially, you get to play through a level with this score rating system, which is always fantastic. Anyway, let's start a new game. Unfortunately, I do not have a partner with me, so no two-player. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin. Without further ado. Now, for this Game Boy Advance port, they did add in an intro sequence, which is, okay, I guess. It really wasn't necessary considering how much plot Donkey Kong Country has. Though it is disappointing that in the port of Donkey Kong Country 3, they did not include an introduction, because that's probably the most story-driven Donkey Kong Country game out there. Yep. And this is pretty faithful to the instruction manual. I believe it did say that it captured Diddy Kong, which is Donkey Kong's nephew, if you did not know. I love how he prioritizes bananas first, and then he stated that Diddy was Kong as well. Just shows you the mentality of Donkey Kong. Anyway, these hub worlds are a little bit more zoomed in than the Super Nintendo game, because clearly people need to see it. And also, before we start Jungle Hijinks, we have a new menu. We can save whenever we want in this game. We used to have to go into specific places in the Super Nintendo game to save. We also have this new thing called the Scrapbook, which is collectible pictures, and I'll be explaining those a little bit later. And we have level stats. Now, to get 100% complete, we do have to find not only all the bonus levels bonus stages as you did in the original Donkey Kong Country, but we also have to collect all the Kong letters within each level. So let us start off with Jungle Hijinks, shall we? Now, in here is not only the extra life that typically every human goes for, but there is also a scrapbook picture behind that banana place. Typically, the pictures that are in the scrapbook depict cremlings and characters throughout the game, as well as some scenery of levels, which is pretty cool. Anyway, we're gonna roll up here to get some extra mans. If that's cool with you. Yeah, as far as the Game Boy Advance port, as you can tell, the screen is a little bit brighter just because it would be hard. It would be hard to see the game if it had the exact shading as the Super Nintendo game. So there's that. Also, I find the hit detection is a little bit generous in this game when it comes to collecting stuff and bouncing on things. I mean, sometimes I can do stuff that I can't typically do in the Super Nintendo port because of that. Not port, game. Anyway, that was a Expresso Token. And that was a picture I collected by hitting 3 naughties in a row. Anyway, the Expresso Token is used to get to a bonus game where you can collect extra lives. Anyway, there's a picture in this bonus room. I believe it depicts Rambi. And also, I'll have to mention this, but this will be a 101% run of this game. So right now I'm going to try to get Winky because he's more rare tokens to find in the game. Typically for these bonus stages, I jump right as I see the token before the frog, so I'll jump at the swordfish shows up, so I can effectively get the frog token. And if you're curious of what the animal buddy name I'm running right now is, it is indeed Rambi the Rhino. exclamation points above levels notify that you have found all the bonuses in a stage, but not all the Kong letters, nor the pictures within the levels. You may be wondering, how in the world would I know how to find all these pictures, such as the one I just did previously before, which was slapping a armadillo? Well, at the end of the game, if you visit Cranky's hut, he'll tell you where all these letter locations are. Now, the bonus rooms have title cards in this game. They didn't have them in the Super Nintendo game. They did it to be consistent with the later Donkey Kong Country games, such as 2 and 3. Just for consistency's sake. Anyway, there's another Winky Token. Now, you may be wondering, why am I getting those, since really they don't add for your completion rating and they just shoot you to a bonus level. Well, it turns out there happens to be scrapbook pictures within their stages as well. I think it's this one? Yeah, there we go. And as far as their scrapbook pages go, that was bad. There we go, much better. So here's Cranky we were talking about. Now, if you're not familiar, Cranky is the original Donkey Kong who was in the Donkey Kong arcade game, and the Donkey Kong in this game happens to be his grandson. Well, DK Jr., he never really makes appearance in the Donkey Kong Country games, but though I've heard he's pretty good at math and in go-kart racing. Specifically with this plumber, and he knows how to save his dad from a plumber. I have to say that. Anyway, bonus room down here. Yeah. For completion of the first Donkey Kong Country. I mean, playing through all the games, I'd say for completion of. How the bonus rooms are hidden in this game, it's probably my least favorite, considering some of them are exceptionally cryptic. And there's one towards the end of the game that's practically a Nintendo Power level bonus room. Now, if you jump on 3 of those Kremlings, you get a picture. And yes, pictures do count towards your percentile completion of this game. Now, you don't really get any fancy things for completing this game 100% or anything. Practically, you get a pat on the back with about 2 extra lines at the end. So, completing the game isn't necessarily probably the best thing, but it's interesting to complete the game just to see how the levels are designed and made out, and how creatively these bonuses are hidden. Anyway, there's our Kong letter spelled out. And that should be the end of Reptile Rumble. Now we're going to head on to Coral Capers. Ah, such a great stage, to say the least. I always love the background in the stage, how it just meshes in with the surface of the water, and how the ground meshes together with the water so perfectly and sort of fades together. And it gives this great illusion of depth in the background. And of course, these little water distortion effects that go around the level as well, which are pretty cool as well. And who doesn't love this theme, aquatic ambience that's going on in the background? Probably one of the most famous Donkey Kong Country themes out there, other than the first level theme of Kongo Jungle. Now we could get that Expresso Token. Might as... Okay. I thought I already had two. Excuse me. I was somewhat scared there. I did. Yeah, the bad thing about these tokens is once you get them, they'll send you back to the checkpoint in this version. I think if you're in a bonus room and get one, they just send you out of the bonus room as typical. And yes, there's a picture hidden down there. In each water stage, there's a scrapbook picture hidden in a wall. Anyway, let's head to Funky's fishing. I thought he headed planes. Well, it turns out in this game they gave him a mini game. A lot of the Game Boy Advance ports of the Donkey Kong Country games have mini games. I mean, they included a lot of mini games into them, and I'll be doing all of them because they each one of them have a scrapbook picture within them. Anyway, as the hub world told us, we'll be fishing today, and we'll be riding on guard to do so. And also, Funky has a new theme, which I still prefer the original one, but eh. So anyway, yeah, a lot of minigames in the Game Boy Advance ports seem really out of place, some more than others. This one, I guess it's somewhat in place, but still not really. Now, the only thing you're deducted by collecting other colored fish is that you lose time. That bar up there indicates time at the top. And you don't really get anything special for combos except just the number flashing on the screen, and you hear Diddy Kong speak, which is somewhat odd, to say the least. Not only are you rewarded for a scrapbook picture if you meet the prerequisite of 20 fish, but you also get extra lives and goodies from Funky Kong as well. So you can effectively use these stages to grind lives if needed so. So that should be the end. Sorry, that sprite looked a little bit odd with Donkey Kong's leg. So anyway, there's our scrapbook picture as well as some goodies. Anyway, let's head to Barrel Cannon Canyon. Now, you can effectively skip part of the level going straight up there, which is pretty cool. There's a lot of ways to skip parts of this level. But I won't be doing so for the most part. I'll probably skip the end part of it, just because you don't really need to do anything there for completing stuff. Bonus room right here. And this is what I was talking about cryptic secrets, because they really do not give any indication where they could be. Now, unfortunately, in the Super Nintendo game, you can effectively just keep mashing A to get this bonus stage quickly done with, but in this port, that doesn't work. You have to take your time. Not saying it's a bad thing, it's just how it is in this game. And also, I think I need to talk about more differences in this port. What was I talking about? I believe I talked about the lighting was different because the Game Boy Advance screen is exceptionally dark. Oddly enough, I find the sprites smaller in comparison to the drop into the levels that they're placed in, which is odd considering typically handheld games make their sprites bigger so people can see them. So in this port I find myself squeezing by spaces where I typically couldn't go. And Also, the hit detection seems a little bit generous at times, making it exceptionally easy to collect bananas and Kong letters as well. Just some of those differences I've noticed throughout playing these ports of the games. Anyway, we're going to head to Candy's Dance Studio. She originally used to be our save point for the game, but now she is reduced to just a minigame. And oh boy, look what they had in mind for it. You might be in a tad bit of shock if if you play the original Donkey Kong Country of what they just done with her. Alright, brace yourselves. When I first saw this, I couldn't believe what I was seeing, to be honest. I think this holds a pretty good candle for being one of the most out-of-place minigames in the Donkey Kong Country Game Boy Advance ports, other than, I'd probably say either Swanky's Run in the Donkey Kong Country 3 port, or the Gyrocopter minigame in Donkey Kong Country 2 for that port. It's so ridiculous. I essentially had the same effect when I saw the dance minigame for the Star Wars Connect game that recently, it wasn't recently, it was about 2 years ago, but that had released. Also, she gives you extra lives too, so you can use that to grind lives if you really want to. Anyway, we're on to the first boss. Now, I do appreciate this change they made in this game. They tried to attempt to make the bosses harder. For example, Naughty, right now, he jumps to the other side of the screen, so I can't just effectively keep hitting him after he starts laughing. And there's some better attempts of making a boss more challenging later in the game. That was a lucky slap. Yeah, if you slap the ground, you can find hidden stuff in the ground. And somehow I found some bananas. And yeah, Cranky didn't talk to you at the end of these stages as well. Anyway, that was the end of the Kongo jungle, and we'll be going on to the mines. As you see, we collected all the Kong letters and the bonus levels. And we got some pictures. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the Monkey Mines.